This podcast is brought to you by the Anime Addicts community the world over. If you want to support the podcast, help keep it running strong, you can go to www.aaapodcast.com/join or Patreon. Throw us a couple bones, and we will be giving you, well, not only 8 additional exclusive podcast episodes per month, but also something like a 600 episode backlog that you'll probably never be able to get through. We have more content than One Piece. It's pretty insane. For just a few bucks over at aapodcast.com/join or Patreon, we'll hook you up when you hook us up. A little symbiotic relationship there. Now time to start the show.
Get ready! You're about to listen to the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast. Make your anime addiction worse at aapodcast.com. And now, here are your anime addicts.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 671 of the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast, the only anime podcast to make your addiction worse to all sorts of things, mainly anime, but who knows what else you're getting into. My name is Mason, and I am part of a 2-man crew today, and while the Twitch video might suggest otherwise, we are shirtless, we are oiled up, we are flexing our muscles in preparation for our gladiatorial combat later today, because I think we have some spicy takes in store. But joining me in this operation is the one and only Mitsugi. Keep it on. Keep your off. Whatever it is. How's it going?
I'm doing great. I'm sitting here. I've got a fresh glass of the Roku gin, and I have learned. I now know why this gin smells so good and is so good. It has yuzu peel in it. So
Ooh,
they have
citrusy.
They have put yuzu notes, as they say, of yuzu peel in this, and it's wait, try it. Delightful. I'm happy to be here, guys. Before we get started today, I just want to throw out a big apology for last week. I did it on the Discord already, but I'm going to do it here as well. Editing that podcast episode last week was pretty rough, because just the seething negativity that I displayed was just, completely unacceptable and probably not enjoyable to listen to at all. To be honest, I'm under a lot of pressure at work, and it's been bleeding into my personal life. And as it's just like I said on the Discord, one should not bring their personal problems to the podcast. So, and the comments of the stuff I ripped up, like Blue Lock, for example, like you're going to see today, that I really don't even hate Blue Lock. I just would say that in the last 2 weeks, I have pretty much hated everything without rationale in the entirety of life. But regardless, there's no room for that kind of negativity on the podcast. And so I am here to own it, and I will do better. So I'm not going to not rant anymore. Like some people were worried, oh, we love it when you rant. I'm like, there's a difference between ranting and being irrationally and unnecessarily hateful. And I'm going to work on that. So that's at the top of the show. That's my commitment to you. So, but I'm happy to be here. Ooh, this gin is so tasty.
The citrus, it changes a man.
It is. It is. I'm gonna listen. If I can't grab another bottle through another crazy bet on the Discord, I will have to buy another bottle because it is quite good. Back to you, Mason.
Betting on the Discord is a pastime of ours, which is to say, we appreciate it when you guys join our Discord. You don't have to bet. It costs no money. In fact, it's completely free to not only join the Discord, but follow us on Twitch, where we stream live every Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern. Join Twitter. I don't know who still does that, but we still have one. TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. Go to the merch store. That will cost you money, but you get sweet merchandise out of it. And what is free, for you at least, is using our Amazon affiliates link to buy stuff, which costs you no money, gives us just a little bit, but it's so sweet. I'm a big fan of it. So all that can be found at our website, which is, if there's one thing you take away from this, is that I'm very cool. But if there's two things that you take away from this podcast, it's at aapodcast.com. that's got links to everything you need to help us, I guess. I don't know. But thank you for that. Anyway, in this actual episode today, our main topic is going to be time to work anime to get you pumped when you have to do that overtime. If you're stressed to the gills like Mitts, if you're doing that extra time like I am, sometimes you need anime to either inspire you or take the edge off, and that's what we're going to discuss. Then we have a return of a classic segment, Anime Addicts Confessional.
Oh my god.
Followed by a review of Blue Lock, the soccer manga. And I hope Mitch brought his heavy artillery because I came in for combat. So anything else before
he's
we
here
kick
for
this off?
Yeah, just that you better fucking put your combat boots on. Let's get it rolling.
Sounds like it's time for big news.
大ニュースです。It's time for big news of the week.
Okay, so this was pretty funny. So April Fool's Day was yesterday, and I never even noticed because it's like, who gives a shit? But sometimes funny things do happen. Sega released a free game on Steam called The Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog. Now, there's actually a trailer out. So in our show notes, there's a trailer. Mason, if you want to paste the link, that's fine. I actually have the audio from the trailer. So, because I'm going to watch the trailer here. So it starts off as like, we've heard your feedback, is what it says. Yes, all of it. And they're showing like old Sonic games. We have a new bold direction of the future of Sonic. And then they say they're excited to announce, and it's just this picture of Sonic dead. He's dead. And this whole game is like Tails and Amy trying to find out who murdered Sonic, solve the mystery behind Sonic's murder. And it's got like, they're on a train with all of the, these mysteries always take place like on a train or whatever. And it's literally a real game. You can literally play this game for free on Steam. And they took it a little too far, probably. It looks like a simple game, honestly, but the synopsis is that it's Amy's birthday, and she's hosting a murder mystery party on the Mirage Express. When Sonic the Hedgehog becomes the game's victim, everyone is off to get to the bottom of things. However, things start to feel a bit off. Is this really an innocent game or something more sinister? So, just pretty fun. I love Sonic the Hedgehog and all of its incarnations and all the characters that it has. And this is something about like animal characters. People just love that. And I'm no different. So, but just kind of fun that Sega went so far as to literally release like a 3-hour game for free that's about Sonic being murdered on April Fool's Day. Because people probably thought, oh, this can't be real. And then it literally was. So it's like a double April Fool's. So,
is it on a train or a boat? Because half the shots look like it's a boat, and Sonic is like dead.
Well,
I know he's dead because in big block all caps letters it says he's dead underneath it, but he's wearing a very nautical themed hat. But then there's clearly other shots where it looks like they're on land in like a train car. So
yeah, the shot with Knuckles leaning up against the arcade machine and you can see like the trees from Green Hill Zone in the background. Like that looks like a train and it's shaped like a train. Maybe it's both. Maybe they go from a train to a boat.
Oh my goodness, a multi-destination. Or maybe Sonic just likes boats, and he just was wearing a captain's hat on a train.
I doubt it, because Sonic cannot swim. People that follow Sonic know that Sonic cannot swim, and he probably hates boats. So,
fair enough.
Yeah, fair enough. But looks like a fun game. I wish I could play it, but unfortunately, I tend to not play games on PC. So, boo-hoo for me. What do you got, Mason?
I got something far less fun and jolly, which is the news that composer Ryuichi Sakamoto has passed away.
Oh, no.
The official website announced that he passed away at 71 years old due to dealing with a bunch of different cancers that he's been treating or dealing with over the past couple years. I really like the quote that his family provided. That was one that he said to have loved, which is that art is long, life is short, which I think is a great way of putting it very succinctly. Sakamoto is a member and founding member of the 80s electropop group Yellow Magic Orchestra, which is huge in what that genre went to become. He's done live action films such as The Sheltering Sky and The Revenant. But as far as anime goes, he did both Appleseed movies as well as Royal Space Force, The Wings of Hanayomichi, which is any excuse I'll use to talk about that movie, which is a juggernaut of
Wings.
yeah, The
Yeah.
Wings
Oh
of
yeah. It's
Hanayomichi
pretty
are
fucking good.
it's it's overly long, it's a little drawn out. It
Yeah.
definitely overstays its welcome, but from a visual and auditory production standpoint of what they were doing back then, it's like the shining pinnacle example of what anime could be if it was had way too much time and money put into it, and it's
I'm
just
with
a
you.
treat. So please check it out. It costs a couple bucks on Apple TV. That's the best place to get it right now in the West. And don't sleep on it. It's really cool. So sad that Ryuichi passed away, and not as funny as Sonic, but oh
You know,
well.
I heard a quote this week that I really liked, so I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna share it with you. Someone said, I heard someone say that Mozart, Beethoven, and Chopin never died. They just became music. And maybe that's the same with Ryuichi. How you feel about that?
I think that's a pretty good way of facing legacy without making it about the person, you know?
Mm.
So
Sad news.
yeah. So yeah, it was tricky finding news this week because today is the 2nd of April. Decidedly not April's Fool. I'm out of that mindset. But I start going through news websites trying to find news from this past week, and all of a sudden, all this weird stuff keeps popping up, and I'm like, "What the heck?" Sixth or not another season of Quintessential Quintuplets where they found the sixth sister. Oh my! Oh yeah. Okay, so
What is that?
we
What is it?
just April Fool
Sextuplet? What is
sextuplets.
sextuplet? Yeah.
The that would have been the sexy sextuplets though. That kind of rolled off the tongue.
Oh shit.
I'm so actually surprised I didn't go with that from the get go.
That's the sexy sextuplets.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just 'cause she has big titties.
And if you join the Discord, you can find a rendition of said song with Mitsugi and Kat performing a duet of I'm
don't worry.
struggling to find the adjective.
Don't worry,
of-
I'm gonna sing it later. So you don't have to worry.
Spoilers, cut that out.
Yeah.
That's live exclusive. And with that, let's move on to our main topic today, which is anime that makes you want to work hard to get you through that overtime. Not in like a workout kind of way and get pumped and lean and jacked and cut. This is a topic purely spurned out of the fact that both Mitsugi and I are getting slammed with work
Fucking
right
destroyed.
now. I
Let
am
me-
working.
Yeah. What is your
Way
What is
too
your
many hours.
story?
My story is that my company is in a big crunch time and has mandated mandatory overtime for all engineers for the next couple months.
But your salary probably, so you don't even get overtime.
I do not get overtime for that. But doesn't mean you don't get to work 8, 10 plus extra hours
Yeah.
every week.
Yeah.
So
That sucks.
so this is like the one time in my life with between hockey, band, work, extra work, podcast prep, moving, all of this in this past week. This is for the first time in my life, giving me just a glimpse of how busy it would be like to have a kid. So
Well,
I'm struggling here. Oh,
that's
and
what
let's not
wives are
forget
for.
we had to watch 24 episodes of anime this week. So
Yeah. Uh-huh.
plus I watched a movie for Unexplored Pictures, but we're not doing that this week because I was so busy I didn't have time to prep the schedule. So yeah, we're a little under the weather. So in weeks like this, if we didn't have a podcast to prep to, these are the anime we would turn to help give us that push to not kill ourselves by eating 84 Sonic cheeseburgers in a row to end our lives in a glorious fashion.
Let me just give a PSA to people. Some of you have been trying to get into management for a long time, probably. Like you're me, and you're like, I need to move up. I can't be a senior analyst forever. Well, be careful what you wish for. Because one day you'll move up, and you'll have so much work for, honestly, an increase in pay that probably won't be all that significant. That you'll wonder to yourself, why did I crash my quality of life by 40% just so I could have an extra $600 a month in my hand? And then the real realization of all this comes when you think to yourself, well, if I just bust my ass and kill myself for like 2 years at this job, like let's say I'm doing 11-hour days, which is pretty much what it's been. After 2 years, maybe I get promoted again and I get more money. But the reality is that you need to be a wise human and step back and think to yourself, if I get promoted again, all I'm doing is fucking my life up even more for probably another $600 a month in your hand. And at a certain point in your life, the $600 in your hand may not matter. And you will find yourself having no life. And you wonder to yourself, why would someone work hard at this point when the reward for working hard is more suffering? So so speaking of working hard, that's just my doom and gloom thought. But like as you reach like director or vice president level in a company, you literally will be working like 60, 70 hours a week, and life will just suck. At some point, you need to find the spot where you have all the money you're going to need, and you're still having a quality of life that is good. So that's my recommendation for everybody out there, is to sit back and consider your position and consider whether you really want to move up or not, because it's very hard to move down after you've moved up. So,
speaking of working hard, I currently am not podcasting from the office, as you said, Mitz, or from an insane asylum, as Undercover Lewis in the chat writes. I have moved. I'm in a new place. I have just yet to adorn or find a good spot for anything. So this is
Yay, Mason.
Future abode. Yeah,
Wow.
that's overtime, working in the office quietly. Shh. No one tell them I'm talking about anime.
He's in the boardroom.
Goodness.
Anyway, anime
yeah,
that make you want to
start
work.
us off?
Anime that make you want to work hard. Most of my picks are not serious. I picked
That's
them
fine.
all. I picked them all for a different reason. So the first one is, wait for it. The first anime that makes me want to work hard is Keijo. Because of booty growth. There is a funny thing that you'll realize. And I don't know if this conversation is going to sound misogynistic or not, but frankly, I really don't care. I don't think it's that bad. I mean, come on, Keijo by itself is misogynistic. So, with ladies, there are various... So, the ideal female form that some claim has various dimensions to it. And most of those dimensions can be achieved without working hard. But some of them you must work hard. And if you want to have a good booty that you can bounce someone through a fucking wall with, like in Keijo, you're going to have to go do your squats. Because you could have a nice rack. And you know what? Honestly, God, it's just like... This is like the man episode. You can have a nice rack and not do a damn bit of effort. But you will not have a nice booty unless you're working fucking hard. So just like Mitz was in the gym today doing his booty thrusters, when you get the barbell down and you're like doing that hip thruster move, and it takes like twice as long to set up the move as it is to fucking do it.
Yep.
So I was doing that today because Mitch is trying to grow his booty too, because all I want to do is take on the girls from Keijo. I just want to smash my sopping wet butt cheeks, hairy though they may be, against the finely groomed, non-soggy, miraculous works of art that are the girls from Keijo's booties, and we will collide, and the universe will explode, at least in my mind at that moment. Twitch wants to know more about booty thrusters.
They're just hip thrusts. Just look up hip thrusts. They're like glute bridges with a weight on them.
Yeah. And it's a pain in the ass to set that move up. It takes
pain in all sorts of asses, literally and figuratively.
Yeah, but I feel like that's what girls are into at the gym these days. Like they want to have nice booties, and that's the thing now, and that's totally fine with me. I support this because it seems like when I'm in the gym, a lot of girls are working on their booties, and so
gotta have that decent derriere. Gotta have that healthy hiney.
Yeah. So I support it, and I will work hard so I can participate in Keijo too, because that's my dream.
Okay.
Oh my God.
I tried to make all of my picks have a dub, because sometimes when you're working overtime, you don't always have time to read some subtitles.
You're
Sometimes
a fucking genius.
that audio playing in the background, and it just so happened that all of these begin with the letter B. It's just coincidence. But
Okay.
the first show that makes you want to enter that grind mode for big overtime gains is Bakuman. This
Mm,
is not Barakamon, the show about the calligraphy guy who goes to the island.
yeah.
Bakuman. This is written the manga by the same duo that did Death Note, so you know you're getting something quality. But it tells the story of Mashiro and Takaki who want to become mangaka. They're in high school
Manga.
and they just want to enter the industry. If you know anything about making manga in Japan, it is brutal, churning out a whole chapter week after week after week. The amount of time you have to put into it is absurd. It's brutal, and you have to absolutely love the work to get it done. And watching these two students just put in the overtime themselves day in and day out and hone their craft, master their development, and continually iterate and evolve and adapt to the industry, to their talents, to what their editor says, what their readers want. It's inspiring in a lot of ways. So if you are at school and you need that push, Bakuman, which has 3 seasons, is a great option. And it's not the best show ever. It has a lot of, carrot on the sticks of essentially this female love interest that is just like there to motivate the story, but she's a complete wet blanket of a character. Like, yeah, it's not perfect, but it is enjoyable and it gets better as it goes on. And if you like the behind the scenes look of making manga, this is kind of similar to Shirobako, which also makes you want to work hard. So I kind of lump them together.
This was a big favorite of Kimiko from years past. So she
Yeah,
was a big. I think she
it's
even
pretty
has
cool.
I think she has a Bakuman tattoo actually
Oh yeah, it's pretty
on
rad,
her.
and it's also fun because essentially this show, written by the people that did Death Note, in the show essentially write an in-universe Death Note, which is like, okay, this manga is about you too. It's very self-inserty, but it's good. I recommend it.
The other thing that's funny is that you speak about Japanese people working hard. Like, if some Japanese person listened to us complaining about our 55, 60-hour work weeks or whatever, they would be like, you guys are the biggest pussies. You guys don't even know suffering. Oh, my God. Yeah. Try going to work for, like, Hitachi in Japan. Then you'll know real suffering. All right. My number 2 pick for a totally different reason. This is more of a serious pick. I don't. It's a decent pick. Red Line, the movie. I picked Red Line because this movie was like a 10-year effort or something along those lines, and I was told that the movie took so long to make and was so meticulous to create in the animation that it nearly bankrupted Madhouse when they made it. And I'm not sure if that's true or not, but that's what I heard. And the movie itself is miraculously animated. I mean, it's fucking gorgeous. And when you consider the amount of effort and work that went into this movie over such a long amount of time, and this is like one of the last great, I guess it wasn't cell animated, but it wasn't. I don't think it's made with cells. I'm not 100% sure, but this is like at the turn of when the cells were being phased out type of movie. And it's kind of an inspiration to think about the amount of effort and work that goes into something like this over such a long period of time. It's kind of like how a lot of video games get, made over the span of like 3 or 4 years. By the way, that Resident Evil 4, it took like an hour to go through the cast. It literally rolled for an hour. I was like, good God, let it end. Because I didn't want to skip a video somewhere in the credits because they kept stuffing videos in there. Oh my God, how can there be so many? Like the entire country of Japan worked on that fucking game. Red Line is a great movie. It's about auto racing for the most part, but like in the most like wacky races, shooting missiles at each other, battling on alien planets type of way. And if you haven't seen the movie Red Line, the music is enough of a reason to go watch it by itself. But it's also animated at a level that most people have never seen before. It has such a style and flair to it that the movie is almost impossible to exhaust yourself of. I mean, I probably have seen Red Line 7, 8, maybe 10 times, and it's still not boring. I'm still passionate and enthusiastic to share with other people who haven't seen it because it's that fucking good. It's that kind of a spectacle and doesn't take itself seriously at all. Sweet JP and Cherry Boy Hunter are two of like just epic fucking characters. Especially Cherry Boy Hunter, I'm a big fan. And yeah, Redline. There are probably people that haven't seen this, and they really should.
Yeah, Redline to me is the pinnacle of shows where instead of it's like style over substance, the style is the substance of Redline, and it absolutely just rides that the whole way. It's such a trip. It's so cool.
It's unbelievable. I mean, some of the animation scenes are like beyond even Ghibli. Like you're like, holy shit, like this is insane. How much shit is moving on the screen? And when you realize it's not CG, it's even more impressive. It's just hard to even wrap your head around, like, 1,000 things moving at once. Mason,
Yes.
your second B.
The second B one for getting down to work and just getting stuff done is Berserk. Unlike Bakuman, it's a little shorter. It only has one season.
That we know of.
That we know of, allegedly.
It's dead to me.
It's a little older, it came out in the late 90s. But Guts is a character that is just constantly grinding. And this obviously is a show that can make you pumped to work out, pumped to just hang out with your boys, pumped to do all sorts of things. But his just crushingly tumultuous life that just grinds him like mortar and pestle is just... You just feel for the guy and you want to work hard for his sake kind of thing. And Guts is just a behemoth of a character, both literally and figuratively, and he is just an inspiration in a lot of ways. And obviously, no one hasn't heard of Berserk. No one hasn't heard me talk about Berserk. This isn't surprising anyone. But I think if you go into work, put on the Guts Mega Mix YouTube video, like a 12-hour thing of just the Guts theme playing, you'll just be inspired
What is the
by
Guts theme?
It's the like very choral. I'm not going to pretend to know how it is because I can't sing. But it's the one that's
Apparently you can,
simultaneously
Mason.
invigorating and calming and soothing and enriching and fulfilling. It is like life itself is pouring its milk straight, its nectar straight down your gullet, and you're just renewed. And it's a great song from a great anime and an even better manga. So check out Berserk if you haven't. It will, and it's also just a fun, really good. Yeah.
This
This
yeah,
one.
it's like the piano thing. I don't think that.
It's see if it's got the vocals in it.
I don't think the Twitch can hear this, but yeah, it's like
that's fine.
maybe they can.
Just like that. Just actually take a clip of that, of Mitz just singing that, and then loop that for 20 hours, and then you'll...
with like piano chords in the background.
Exactly. You could perform this song. This could be your opening act, Mitz. You could do the piano
I'm telling you.
and the vocals.
And I'll like, yeah, exactly. I'm gonna crush it. That's it. That's my next piano piece I'm gonna learn.
Just a couple twinkling chords and that's it. You could probably knock that out in 10 minutes.
Probably. Yeah, hell, the hell with the Nier Automata piano collections. We're going with those are the vocals I'm looking for. My goodness. What a time to be alive. Okay. Man, I wish the Twitch could hear. If I unplugged the soundboard and hooked my cell phone up, then they could hear it. I really want to call Caroline's answering machine, but I just so I can hear Caroline's message, but I don't know her fucking phone number. And I've also thought how fun it would be to like prank call people and like ask Papa John's what their favorite anime is. See what that would be a hit of a segment. People would tune in for that shit.
It would. Do that and pre-record it so I don't have to be a part. I can't be held responsible.
You can't talk to the people on the cell phone anyway.
Oh, those like crank anchor shows, all those like fake phone calls. I can't do it.
Come on.
It's too messing with the innocent folk.
Do you know how to get blood out of the carpet? Can you get blood out of a carpet?
No questions asked.
Oh my god. Okay, so. Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, we can. It's like, geez, how desperate are you for business? You're gonna like clean up a murder scene. My third one and final one is Dragon Ball Z. Endless training in Dragon Ball Z. These people will train forever. They love training so much that they will get into a hyperbolic time chamber so that they can train 100 years in the span of one day on Earth, just because that's how much they love training. They're like, well, we can't get enough training in one day. We're going to have to extrapolate this to 365 days so that we can get enough in there to fight Cell. But really, Gohan was probably able to kill Cell way before they finished. They just love it so much. I mean, Goku's literally on the God of Destruction's planet with Vegeta, eating like tea and crumpets with fucking Budesu like every day, and yet all they do is fucking fight and train. And Goku's like got to be 100 years old at this point. So I honestly have no idea how he doesn't have arthritis. You know, I have whatever he's taking, I want some of it. It's probably a whole bunch of peptides, and deer antler spray. You think that's what it is? Deer antler spray?
I don't know what it does to a man, but if it makes me look like that, sign me up.
I mean, it'll make you grow 3 more penises, is what it'll do. I mean, or
The
deer
classic
antler.
antler weenie.
You can go on Amazon right now and buy deer antler spray. You can. And apparently it gives you the testosterone level of a fucking elk. You're just gonna, your lady's gonna be riding on top, and you're gonna fire her off like a bottle rocket. She's gonna hit the ceiling, and her head's gonna stick through the floor of the compartment upstairs. And the next thing you know, the police are on the way.
I've seen that scene in Devilman Crybaby.
I think I was thinking the Scary Movie, like the original.
I know.
And she's got the electric fence garter belt on. But seriously, Dragon Ball Z, if you really think about it, I was going to say Hajime no Ippo, because that's even a better example, because literally all they do in that anime is fucking train the whole time. But they probably spend like 70 episodes worth of time training in Dragon Ball, if you really consider it. So, those people, they love sweating. So, credit to them. Mason.
Yeah, for my last anime to make you feel compelled to work, I gotta go with Blue Period, which is a pretty recent show. And yeah, it's only
name.
like 2 years old. Yeah, another blue show. Who would have thought it?
That's like that's like when a lady has a period, but she's from like Neptune.
I thought you were just gonna say, but she's sad. But regardless,
Sad.
sad. You're feeling blue.
Oh my god.
Well, I'm
Sorry.
sure it's never a good time. Anyway, getting away from that, Blue Period, kind of similar to Bakuman. It's a story of someone getting into art and being, and caught up in that world. It tells the story of Yatura, who was essentially a really smart kid on his way to just be another university student that follows business best practices, just does what makes sense, and just continues to coast through life, kind of ambivalent to it all. When in his last year of high school, it discovers art and absolutely just learns what it means to him, what it means to others, and just essentially finds his passion and needs to get good at it in a very short time. And he just works. He's obviously very intelligent. He knows how to make connections, but really it comes from him getting out there every day and just grinding and drawing and sketching and doing everything and studying. And I love his story. Once again, I'm going to say it. I'm going to say the I word. It's inspiring. It makes me tear up. I feel for the guy, and seeing him work so hard day in and day out towards his aspirations is motivating to me. Really love Blue Period. Once again, now without its flaws, definitely not the best looking show despite being a show about art. But man, it hits me every time. Got the manga right here. It's a good one. It's really good. Check it out. And yeah, watching his struggle makes me want to struggle as well. Not to say that working overtime is a great thing or something you need to do or should be proud of. You got to take care of your health, take care of your mental health. All those things go into it. You're still you. We got to, not gloss over that fact. But sometimes you do got to put in the work. And I think all 3 of the shows I talked about, I'm using them right now, and they're helping me through it. So I hope if you need to go through this tough period in work or just life in general, they can help you as well.
Speaking of working it, there's an anime movie coming out called Pole Princess. This shit cracks me up. Oh my god! It's for some reason all of the characters in this movie are all named after liquor. So it's got this girl wearing ballerina shoes and then this girl who looks like she's from Review Starlight, and they're both grasping at basically a stripper pole. And it just makes you wonder if Japan understands what this is.
Is it written like in katakana? Is that like what it translates to?
Poru purinsesu.
So it's absolutely saying pole princess.
Yeah,
It's not a translation thing. Okay.
No, it's on the Discord and the anime channel. You can look at the art, and it's literally had these two girls grabbing this pole, and I'm like, there's literally no context in which a stripper pole is wholesome. Like, you're basically gonna pop your coochie on stage for like fat old men that are lonely smoking cigars. And there's no way to spin that.
Like, it's an art form. It's a way of expression. It's a dance.
What? It's a dance?
Yes, it's a workout. I've heard of many people using pole dancing classes as entertainment, expression, and just a workout.
Interesting.
Get your mind out of the gutter. The pole.
You're really
and the pole in the gutter.
You're really trying hard here, Mason, but
it's a thing. It's a thing.
I understand.
I don't do it.
I understand, but every single one of those girls, while they're doing their pole dance exercises, they're all thinking about being a stripper on stage because there's no way you can separate the two. Anyway, it's just funny that this exists. Woo! This reminds me of when I used to go to the cabaret clubs in Japan, and we'd go to the Opobu, and they'd have the short time when the girls would take their tops off and rotate around the room and let you sample the goods in a mass scale. Oh my god, that's for a hentai episode. We're gonna do one of those today after the podcast, guys.
That's right. That's right.
But Pole Princess, I don't understand this fucking movie. Anime that make you not want to work. For me,
so I interpreted this as anime when you can't work anymore and you need to relax. Did you see it the same way, or was this anime that you watch it and you're like, I never want to work again? Is it makes you give up on life? Is it?
I think it's more anime that make you want to be a lazy fuck.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Let's hear it.
Dirakuma and Kaoru is when I'm picking. When I'm starting.
Have you watched the show?
No.
Okay.
But I know
the first season, I really like the season 1 actually.
But I know a lot about Dirakuma because my ex-wife was obsessed with it, and it's basically supposedly it's an old man in a bear suit who just wants to sleep all day. Maybe I should have gone with Gudetama. He's lazy too. See, the funny thing about Japan is that they have all these yurukara, they call it, like all these characters that like are on a merchandise. And a lot of these characters are just lazy as fuck because what Japanese people are actually experiencing in daily life is the opposite. They're being like worked until they're like brutally destroyed. And so they're all fantasizing about being an egg laying on a piece of toast and not having to do anything. Or Dirakuma, who just like lays around on pillows all day and literally doesn't move. That's the fantasy right there. That is what everybody wants, really everywhere. But in Japan, because the work life is so brutal, and these poor men and women are just like being slaughtered day after day, they just want to fantasize about being Dirakuma. And if it comes at the cost of Kodirakuma sticking a corn cob up their ass, they're going to take it because that's still better than being in an office for 14 hours a day. I mean, honestly. I
like how the two options are either you are a lazy egg boy with a bubble butt who just wants to be eaten, or you get hit by a truck and get sent to anywhere else, literally another planet. Please, thank you, not Japan. Those are like the two modicums of their medium.
So you can have... All right, I got a question for you.
Okay.
This is incredibly inappropriate. Are you ready?
I know, but lay it on me.
I don't know if I want to ask this question, but I think I have to now because I already said it. So you can either work 14 hours a day for a whole week or have a corn cob stuck up your butt, but we're gonna file the end of the corn cob into a point, so at least it goes in gradually. Would you put the corn cob in your booty to not have to work a 70-hour week, or would you take the corn cob in the booty for like 5 seconds?
I
would take the corn cob in the booty. I just say that right now.
I would, I would normally ask like questions to kind of get to the point. I think there's no dancing around this. I think with the corn in your butt for a temporary amount of time, you still have to return to work next week.
But presumably it's not a 70-hour week.
Sure, it's a normal week. I think you'd be so sore that working through that regular week the week after would still be just as brutal. I'm taking the 70-hour week, my dude.
I appreciate that you tried to apply logic to it and that you tolerated ultimately what is a complete madman.
Yes.
Mason.
Wait. Who's
Yes.
putting it in my butt? That's really the question.
What's that? Who?
Yeah.
You can put it in your own butt if you want.
Oh, no, I don't want that. We got to get something out of it here, my
It's not going to be Satan from Little Mickey picking the largest pineapple he can find.
Well, that's good, I think.
That's a funny movie, by the way. Terrible, though. Anime that make you not want to work. Relax mode. Mason.
Relax mode. See, this is post-work, post-overtime. You need to reward yourself with some good, wholesome, quality anime that just lets you veg out with minimal paying attention, but still a good time. So these are 3 shows that I think are all either very good or masterpieces, and I highly recommend them
Windy.
for any situation, but especially when you just need to just breathe. And the top 3 I have are Windy Tales, which nowhere near enough people have seen because it kind of looks funny. It's got weird, horribly art styles. The characters have like all black eyes. It's odd looking, but man, it is so soothing and relaxing. Some great piano pieces, Mitts. You can learn those.
Mamoru
A
Oshii.
lot of cats. It's so good. Windy Tales is a must watch if you like your calm, soothing vibes. Episodic shows, and it's just good. It's just chef's kiss. Next up, more of a
Chef's
comedy.
kiss.
Tanaka-kun is always listless. Talk about the biggest, laziest, but most endearing piece of poop. Tanaka just often too lazy to walk, has his like best friend drag him or carry him from class to class.
Jesus.
Can barely pay attention through conversations or lessons or almost anything. He's too busy vibing and living his best life as a sleepyhead, and it's who we all aspire to be like. And finally, as you might have guessed, can't not say Mushishi. Great dub, fantastic dub, best dub of the bunch here, and just soothing, episodic, mystical, fantastical, sometimes a little, sad, but often very poignant and deep and touching and beautiful stories. So all of those are great. Just you need to recover, you need to recoup, put on any of those, and you're in for a good time.
When you said Windy Tales and I looked at the art, I thought for sure this was going to be like a the art style reminds me of oh my god.
Yuasa?
Yeah, exactly. What's the relation?
Yeah, it
here?
definitely has that. Nothing is on model. People's arms and legs are never like the same. They're always just kind of, throw it on the page. We'll see how it looks. It looks very amateur in its design, but it uses that and so much more to really evoke such a emotion and sense of peace that you often don't get. And it uses that to also create some fantastic shots and compositions, and it's just takes the unconventional use of it and just makes it something special and unique. And there's pretty much nothing like it.
Do you know what the highest rated Iyashikei anime on my anime list is? It's 181 of them.
I would guess Natsume's Book of Friends is pretty up there.
It is,
just
but that's not the
because
highest.
sequel seasons tend to only retain the people who like seasons 1 and 2, and so it has 6 seasons out. Of course, only people rating it highly at the end are people who love Natsume's, and it is a good show. Arya is pretty well beloved. I don't think that's the top one though.
No. That's up here though. It's up there. You want me to just tell you?
Yeah.
The number 1 rated Iyashikei anime with an 8.94 is March Comes In Like a Lion Season 2.
That definitely has those elements. It's not so much of a pure Yashike though. But it's a good show. It's a real good show.
Followed by 8 different seasons of Mushishi/Natsume.
Oh, it's so good.
And
See, it's funny. It's actually really funny you bring that up because honestly, March Comes In Like a Lion is equally relaxing, and you could just veg and be comfy and just be like, niceness. But also, Ray, the main character, grinds his ass off at shogi, and that could also be a anime to want to make you want to work. It very much is back and forth between two ends of the spectrum, and it also has a very funny science man with a great mustache. So obviously, that's the best show of the bunch for any. Always watch March Comes In Like a Lion. That's the message of this podcast.
I remember when Mushishi had like, let's see, it had like one season and that was it.
Yeah, so Mushishi just has two core seasons, but it has a couple like OVAs and movies.
Yeah.
So it's not like 5 seasons of Mushishi. It's pretty much 50 episodes and like 5 specials, movies, OVAs, longer episodes, which are all fantastic.
But I remember that. I remember when for the longest time it was just the first season and there was nothing else. And now there's like all this stuff, and it's just wild that all this like just happened eventually.
It's good. It's good.
And anime is a pretty nice thing. So like when you get to the end of the day, Mason, and you've done like all your stuff, and you have like, and it's like 9. I don't know what time you go to bed, but if you're me, it's like probably 10, and you're in bed at 10, and you're like, what do you like? Do you put something on TV when you get in bed, or do you?
No, I very much try to get away from using my phone, using TVs, using any screens within half hour of bed. I fail quite a lot. I'm not perfect, but I try to be reading. That's usually where I try to get my time in.
You are so much better than I am. I'm literally watching like brutal horror movies and stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like I'm gonna go to sleep, and the last thing I see is a man getting his head removed. It's like, that's healthy.
Well, maybe that's your like defense mechanism. You're watching the killer clown like grabs a dude by the head, twists it off like a pop cap.
Oh my god!
Rips it off. You see like the aorta and everything just spluttering out, and you're like, I want to be unconscious now. And you just go to sleep.
How many friggin' seasons does Natsume have? Like 100?
I think it's just 6. And
6 seasons?
I think there's like 2 movies and 1 or 2 OVA specials.
That's a lot of books. That's a lot of Book of Friends. To work
a lot of friends. A lot of friends.
God.
I wish I had that many friends.
That's like those people that have like 1,000 friends on Facebook. They're not really all your friends. Okay, you can't possibly maintain that many relationships. Just like take a chill pill. Okay, honestly.
Yeah, but you can stalk that many people, and that's why stalking is better than friendship.
You heard it here, folks.
You're welcome.
That's a Mason. That's a first ever from Mason.
Anything you can do more of makes it better.
Well, why don't you read the news break question for us?
What?
And then
what? I'm not Caroline. I guess.
Caroline's
I will.
Getting lost in the catacombs of Paris. So
gallivanting, yeah, being a whatever she's doing. Anyway, in-show trivia question. We'll answer it after the news break. In the anime Blue Lock, how many players originally entered the Blue Lock facility? Just give us the number, and if you're right, you win the knowledge of being right. See you guys in a few minutes.
You can touch my my moobs.
You can fight Mitsuki and Keijo.
Hey, all you anime junkies out there, it's Mitsuki, and I've got the anime crack. Time for your news break. Getting us started off with the 2023 Manga Taisho Award winner. The judges select a manga that has 8 volumes or fewer and has at least 1 volume in the last year, and picks the best one out of all of them. Well, this year, the winner is Kore Kaite Shine. So if you are a fan of comedy manga, Kore Kaite Shine is the winner of the Manga 2023 Taisho Awards by Minoru Toyota. So you're probably going to want to go check it out because, well, it'll probably get made to an anime eventually. And besides, you love manga, so go read it. Next up, Cardcaptor Sakura, the Clear Card Hen, is getting a new anime sequel. The Clear Card anime television series is going to be getting it's going to adapt the rest of the story until its conclusion. So Madhouse animated the original 70 episodes clear back in 1998. And, of course, there are 2 movies and then special episodes as well. And the Clear Card did premiere in 2018, had 22 episodes. So this, of course, being Clamp's original property. So if you're a fan of Cardcaptor Sakura, look out for apparently more Clear Card coming out. Next up, the anime Windbreaker is getting a TV anime. So this was announced by Aniplex. Cloverworks is going to be animating the series, so that's very exciting. And this began serializing in 2021, and it has 1.2 million copies in print. It's about Sakura, who wants nothing to do with weaklings. He's interested in fighting the strongest of the strong, so he joins a school named Fudin High School, a school that has nothing but degenerates in it, and they're known for their brawling prowess. They are there to protect their town from anybody who would do it harm, but Sakura just wants to fight his way to the top. So it sounds like a Yankee fighting school anime, maybe like an Ikito-sen type. I'm not really sure, but I love myself some Yankees, so look out for Windbreaker coming out here sometime by Cloverworks. And lastly, it just won't go away. Bungo Stray Dogs gets a 5th season in the summer of 2023. You won't even have to wait a long time. It's coming out in the next season. So, of course, this adapts Kafka Asagiri's manga, which began back in 2012. So this was produced by Studio Bones, and the first television anime was split into 2 parts back in 2016 of the fall. And you're going to be able to get more Bungo Stray Dogs. It needs no introduction. So it's coming back, and you won't have to wait long. Summer 2023. This was Mitsugi, and this was your anime news break. Now, time to get back to the podcast. As we listen to the Dragon Ball superhero theme, you have to ask yourself, have you ever wanted to be a superhero? Well, I'll tell you how you can do it. The next time you go to Amazon to buy anything, go to supporttheaddicts.com first, scroll down, click our Amazon affiliates link, and you are going to be getting the podcast a sweet royalty, because anything you buy on Amazon after clicking that link gets the podcast just that, a significant royalty from Amazon. You'll be helping out the show without having to spend any money yourself. It's just one extra step. You go to supporttheaddicts.com, click the link, and again, anything you buy on Amazon after clicking it will get the podcast a royalty. A new car, school supplies, office supplies, things for your house, video games, whatever it is, it'll get the podcast that sweet royalty. So remember, be a superhero. The next time you go to Amazon to shop, don't forget to stop at www.supporttheaddicts.com. What makes a man? Is it the woman in his arms? Just 'cause she has big titties?
Or butt.
The way she fights every day. No, it's probably the titties. Sing it, Mason.
Or
now
butt.
you're a man.
Man!
Oh, man. Now you're a man. Mayhole. Oh, mounty. Mow, mow, mow.
Man.
Oh, man, man. Now, man, mow, mow. Now you're a male. Welcome back to the Sausage Fest. In the anime Blue Lock, Bururoku. How many players originally enter the Blue Lock facility? Sanbyakunin. 300 people enter the facility. So, 300 people enter the... Oh.
This is
Sorry. Not that 300. Not that 300. A different 300. Yeah, exactly. Guys, and when you subscribe to the podcast over at aaapodcast.com/join or Patreon, look, I'm going to come up here and sing the Orgasmo theme song to you, and you're not going to subscribe to the podcast? Are you kidding? That's like a stripper on the stripper pole from the movie Pole Dance, or whatever the hell that movie was called.
Princess.
Pole princess. And she bends over to show you her ass. And when she gets up, there's no dollar bills in her G-string. Come on. Come on. You're really going to... All right, so when you subscribe to the podcast, AAApodcast.com/join or Patreon, you're going to get exclusive access to all of our additional episodes, but also our exclusive RSS feed, so you can listen to your favorite extra episodes on your favorite app, including Pocket Casts, Podcast Addicts, Apple Podcasts, CastBox, Downcast, etc. A whole bunch of options for you, and with the exclusive access to the member RSS feed. So, again, AAApodcast.com/join or Patreon. Wow. I was like, where's my Pope hat? Because I'm like debugging code over here, speaking of working like all the time. And then during the news break, I'm debugging code instead of, finding my Pope hat. And I found it. It's right over here to my right. So I'm going to go get it. All rise for the Pope. This is our anime confessional segment where I read heinous and inappropriate mailbags from people who want to confess their anime sins. So, strap yourself in. Seth writes, I don't claim that any of these are PG-13. Forgive me, Pope, for I have sinned. I continually watch dumpster fire anime to fill my list. With each completed show, I regret my decision to start and undoubtedly finish every single show. No matter how bad something starts, I cannot help but watch it from start to finish. Is there any form of penance I can do to atone for my desire to have every anime on my list completed? No matter how recommended a show is, if it appears that there may be moe content in it, I refuse to watch it. May all moe be kicked into the anime pit of hell. That sounds like something I would have written.
Yeah. Except you have an excuse of a anime podcast. Allegedly, no one's ever heard of it. That you're like, oh no, I have to finish the show for the podcast. I have to watch the show. My hands are tied. I have to watch Do It Yourself. There's no other way. But I don't know. I think you're hiding something.
Fascinating.
He might be as well.
Yeah. If you want to be kicked into the pit of hell, this is not the way to do it. Thug Nasty writes, forgive me, for I have sinned. This is almost too sick to say to anyone. I am a man that occasionally enjoys hentai, as many do. We have an episode after the show today, just for you, Thug Nasty. One fateful night, I was browsing as one does and came across a scene from the first episode of Goblin Slayer. You know the one. I climaxed and immediately felt the shame pour deep into my soul. Then I watched the anime. It was all right. I can't say whether watching all of Goblin Slayer and thoroughly enjoying it or finishing my business to that scene was more sinful. Either way, I am ashamed. Love the podcast. Thanks for making my anime addiction worse. You did this to me. No. You did this to you. Okay? You have fingers. You're typing Goblin Slayer porn. Big titties, goblins, banging. I'm not the one Googling. You're the one Googling. Call off the lawyers. I don't think this is worthy of the pit of hell either.
No, I don't think so. Though I do like how they do not write, I am ashamed, one word. They wrote, I am a shame. Which I think hits a little bit harder.
That's like when your teacher in high school tells you that they're disappointed in you. I'm just so disappointed. That's worse than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm disappointed that I didn't get juicier confessions. They're okay, but none of you are worthy of the anime pit of hell. So
Amen. That said, Mitch, if someone had confessionals that they thought were worthy of such grievances or wanted salvation, how would one go about reaching these confessional booths?
I forgot to give you the link, but apparently my very supportive friend here has done just that. So you can go to www.aaapodcast.com/mailbag and submit your confessional. And I will, honestly, going to the website. Oh, well, that's a start. You have to start somewhere.
Mhm.
So I will read your confessions if they're good. If they're not good, then I don't read them. So I don't even care if they're real. You can just send crazy shit. I don't care. No one's gonna know, honestly.
And
AAA
honestly, if you're there,
podcast.
you might as well just submit a mailbag while you're at it.
AAApodcast.com/mailbag is where you do the confessionals and also the mailbags, which we're gonna do right now.
It's time for an almighty anime mailbag. Anime. Anime. Anime.
Mailbag. The Twitch is asking about the Roxanne ASMR. I got to find some time to spend some personal time with the ASMR because
We got to prep.
it's like very long conversations with Roxanne, and none of you are gonna understand. Nobody, including me, is gonna understand it.
Oh no.
So I have to basically find time to listen to an hour of Roxanne talking to me at close proximity, which is all well and good, but let's be honest. Everybody knows there's a certain type of content you're looking for from Roxanne, and hearing her ask you what you want to have for dinner or something isn't just not going to cut it. You need a special kind of ASMR.
What I'm hearing is that we need to lubricate that content to slide it into the air holes and just pick out the best parts.
Yeah, lubricant.
And that's probably going to be on a hentai episode. So if you want to hear that, aapodcast.com. Gotta shell out the big bucks for your big degeneracy, but it's worth it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, mailbags where you leave, you can also leave hentai mail. But anyway, moving on.
You
mailbags
can.
where
All
you
sorts
leave
of
questions,
things.
thoughts, and we will answer them. The first today comes from Paper Bird, who writes, I would just like to say that I just completed my first ever bracket for the Summer Waifu Wars, and holy crap, that was tough. I felt like I was making crucial life decisions there, but it was fun. If there was one anime that all three of you could unequivocally agree on recommending to listeners, what would it be? Well, there's only two of us here. Mitz, what would we agree on recommending?
This actually had this mailbag had a question in it. I didn't even see that. An anime that everybody likes.
Probably
Princess Mononoke.
Princess Mononoke, sure. That's a good one.
Yeah,
that's a fantastic one. It's a masterpiece.
Yeah, it's a masterpiece. When you consider the amount of drawings that were used to make that movie, it's kind of insane. Like, the stacks of paper would probably be as high as like a 5-story building.
What did I tell you earlier? More of an object makes it better. Tons of cuts in Princess Mononoke. Tons of cuts in Royal Space Force. Probably a ton of cuts in Redline. All great movies. Coincidence? I think not.
I picked this mailbag because it's almost time for this. It's almost summer again, which is crazy.
And
it's almost
how nature do that.
It's almost time for the Waifu War to come back. Actually, I have a clip here called Waifu War Promo. I have no idea what it sounds like. I'm going to play it. Oh, this is just too long. Anime Addicts, it's time. That clip is too long, but the Waifu War is coming back. So first we take nominations for the Waifu War so I can make the bracket. Then I give you time to predict your brackets. Then the epic Waifu War begins, where you will select the most epic waifu of all. And this year, we have learned from our past mistakes, we will be omitting anime characters that were first seen / conceived or whatever you want to say from the last, we'll say 6 months, because the last time we did this, only anime characters that had basically been in anime that had just come out were the ones that got to the Final Four or whatever, and it was just kind of stupid.
No, Phantom President got pretty far.
I mean, she should. She's, a hot little
if
pistol.
If anything, only waifus from the past 12 months should get included to keep it fresh and new.
The sad news is that Marin Kitagawa is going to be eligible under those rules because that show's now a year old, so...
Yeah, I'm saying she wouldn't be in it anymore. And obviously the last winner isn't going to be in it.
So the next mailbag is from GV Boss. Hey, hello, love the show and hope you are all doing well. I have 2 questions. The first one is, who do you think is the most underrated or overrated character in anime? This is kind of hard, but for me, I don't know about the most overrated, but I feel like Tanjiro from Demon Slayer is probably very overrated. I mean, he's a pretty simple character. Like, there's not really, let's be honest, a whole lot going on there that hasn't been done a bunch of times already. He's an intense Mary Sue personality, which is generally not all that interesting. I feel like there's a lot more interesting dynamic characters out there that just aren't on the tip of everyone's tongue all the time. So, and as far as underrated characters, I'm just gonna be like very cynical and say anybody that's not from after 2005, because let's face it, like even the best anime from 2005 never gets this. Like, you could have the best anime of all time come out in like 2003 and nobody would discuss it ever. So, and that inevitably leads to characters like Spike Spiegel, who frankly aren't the best characters in the world because Spike Spiegel doesn't have much going on. Though he is great, he's not like god tier great. Mason, what do you think?
I think that I didn't do any preparation because I was running on fumes by the time I got to this point. I think that an overrated character that I still like and enjoy, and I get why he's the way he is, but Saitama from One Punch Man. I don't know. I think people hype him up as this massive character, both physically and like as this comedy juggernaut. And he's like fine. He fits what he needs to be, but the comedy doesn't come from him as much. It's the whole cast and the way they bounce off one another. And I don't know. I don't know if he's that overrated, but I couldn't think of anything better in the last 5 seconds. So I'm going with that.
The second question was, after watching the latest round of Around the Horn, which we should do again sometime because it's a really good.
Yeah, it was fun.
That's a really good topic. I got curious about the discussion over more video game anime. Are there any video games, books, or other media in general you would like to see made into an anime? I have some great ones, and this is kind of like just a list of my favorite video games, honestly. But Parasite Eve got a live action movie, but it never got anything beyond that. Parasite Eve is a pretty cool property from like PlayStation 1 RPGs. It's a pretty fucking dope game, honestly. And if you and Aya Bree is pretty hot. It could be a pretty good game. It could be a good anime, honestly. Chrono Trigger, honestly, it got an OVA already, but not a full anime. Chrono Trigger, being such a legendary property with obviously very lovable art style because it looks like Dragon Ball, is just ripe to have a full-length anime series. I don't know why it never happened, but it does have an OVA, but it's kind of a horseshit OVA. It doesn't really count as anything. It's also only like 12 minutes long. And then just for fun, I said Klonoa. I'm a big fan of Klonoa, especially Klonoa 2, Lunaty's Veil. Could be a cute game or a cute anime, but primarily I'd like to see Parasite Eve and Chrono Trigger. I think those would be great, as they have really strong stories and very interesting characters. Mason?
This is always such a tough question because I think in my head is I am trying to think of a video game or book that would be better off as an anime than the video game medium. And I think that is hard to think about because so often I'm like, oh, Celeste would make a great anime. Or as the comments write, Elden Ring would be a good anime. And that's true, but I feel like they are better games than they would be anime. Like their strengths in the way they marry gameplay and narrative, the mechanics and the lore together is what makes it engaging. And we've seen it with Persona 5. And it's not as bad, but we've seen a bit with Nier Automata in the couple episodes I saw where just the video game was a better version. So it's hard to find something that would surpass its origin as an anime. So I don't know. A Banjo-Kazooie. Why not?
I recently recommended Nier Automata to a really close friend of mine, and he said that he didn't like anything after like the first 20% of Route B. And I was like, I feel so sad that you said that to me. I was like, what is wrong with you?
I mean, at least he got through, like, he got enough to give it a taste. I think what happened is
he finished it.
He just like looking up her skirt, and once he realized, oh, I'm playing a boy now, I'm out. I think that's my guess.
No, I mean, he finished it. I just think that sometimes people just aren't interested in like deep stories that have like a lot of thought behind them, and they just want to like blow shit up or have like or play fighting games or racing games. Maybe it did make me sad though. Yeah, but
That's okay.
I could see how
We
that
forgive
game.
him.
I could see how that anime was not as good as that game because that game is just way too good. Too good for its own good, I should say.
Indeed.
All right, well, Mason, you failed Blue Lock before, so
I did.
You're gonna kick
I
this baby
did.
off.
So we are doing a review of Blue Lock, but Mason, you failed it. Well, guess what? You
Ah.
listeners brought it back. This is a fall 2022 show, and to be honest, I kind of liked Blue Lock at the beginning. The problem is,
Blue
I
collar.
passed a little known show called Bocchi the Rock. I passed a little known show called Chainsaw Man, and I didn't have a third pass for Blue Lock. But luckily, or maybe unluckily, you guys brought it back. You can watch this on Crunchyroll and Netflix in some areas. I don't think it's on everywhere Netflix, but that's where you can watch it. And it essentially tells, as we mentioned earlier, a story of Blue Lock, this state-of-the-art soccer facility where 300 promising strikers are brought in and essentially told, hey, if you can make it through this program, you have a chance to be the forefront of Japan's national team, lead us into a new era of soccer. And if you can't make the cut, which is going to be 99% of you, you will never play soccer professionally or in any competitive thing in Japan ever again. So good luck, losers. And it's a death game, soccer game, all sorts of egos and charismas on the line as they battle it out to become the best striker in Japan. So who's going to win? Who's going to make it out? What do we think? It's done by Studio 8-Bit. It's directed by Tetsuaki Watanabe, and it's based on a manga. So Mitsugi, what were your expectations coming in to Blue Lock?
Well, I had seen about a third of it before even this past week, so I was pretty much starting around episode 9 or 10. I mean, this is Squid Game with soccer, or that's how it's phrased. It's like, oh, if you don't win it, if you're not the one person who wins Blue Lock, you never get to play soccer again, which to most of these kids is about as good as being killed. I thought it was fine. I didn't think it really resembled soccer for the most part. Through like 8 or 9 episodes or whatever it was, but I mean, it's fine. I think I had a general idea of what was going to happen, but we'll see if I was right.
Yes, for me, I had only seen 2 episodes. I thought it was fun. I thought it was well realized and it kind of knew what it was. But I was curious over the course of 24 episodes, what would develop from it? How much would they do to keep it fresh and interesting? Because there's only so long you can do of just playing soccer with not much else. So, spoiler-free recommendation. Mitsuki, would you recommend Blue Lock?
Maybe. I think for people who like Kuroko no Basket type of anime, probably this anime tends to be more about people like powering up while they're playing soccer. It's very reminds me of Shaolin Soccer. Have you seen Shaolin Soccer?
I have.
It's a fucking great movie, and if you want to watch a guy who can like kick a soccer ball so hard that it like lights on fire, I mean that's kind of what you're gonna get from Blue Lock. Except it seems to always be in their eyeballs. Like, these people must have terrible, like, dry eye because their eyeballs are always on fire. I thought it was entertaining. It's easy to watch. It's bingeable. I mean, it's dubbed, too. But, like, the funny thing is that, like, in this anime, almost nothing they say matters that much. I mean, they're mostly just, like, screaming nonsense and powering up and then talking about how they're like, oh, I'm having this awakening. And I'm like, I'm evolving right now. I'm like, oh, really? You're evolving? like a Pokemon? But for people, I mean, so if you like Kuroko no Basket, if you want to watch people, like, if you want to watch basically Dragon Ball characters playing soccer, like, powering up and having, like, lightning coming out of them or whatever, if that sounds cool to you, I think it's fine. For people who actually want to watch soccer anime where soccer is being played in like a realistic way, then no, I don't think I recommend this. I mean, I did play soccer for pretty much every year until I graduated high school, and I knew quite a lot about soccer, and I don't think that this anime resembles soccer a whole lot. I think Awashi would be better for someone like that, or maybe Giant Killing or Whistle. Because Blue Lock is just very intense. There's a lot of characters that are just straight up caricatures of anything that could be considered a real person. Like there's a lot of the characters in this anime either oddly resemble other characters from other anime, which are somewhat humorous. I actually posted a picture today on the Discord of a character that looks exactly like Nanba Muta from Space Brothers. I mean, he's basically identical. But like the characters are, you have like the characters are very extreme. Like they have extreme personalities, extreme facial features. They're just extreme people that would never exist in real life. And the anime is very extreme. The whole anime is like one giant power-up scene from Dragon Ball. And if that sounds good to you, then go for it. I just think it's not for everybody. If you want to watch real soccer being played, then this is probably not for you. Otherwise, it is pretty fun. What do you think, Mason?
I think that it's not as superpowery as something like Kuroko no Basket. To me, that's something like Inazuma 11, where they are literally using superpowers that are beyond the scope of humanity. To me, Blue Lock is more just highly anime stylized moves of real world things. They're just hitting the ball well or doing all these fancy moves, and it's giving them these flashes of brilliance with these powerful levels behind them. But I think it's all still grounded. I think since you brought it up, and it's worth comparing just for their similar length and time of release, Awashi is the show for the pure football fan. If you're the person that just follows their team, win or lose, but live with them, you go to their practice matches, you watch the team workouts, you're intimately familiar with every player's history and horoscope, you just are about the lifestyle of playing soccer, watch Awashi. Blue Lock is for the fan that goes on YouTube and looks up the 50 best soccer goals that'll blow your mind. It's just a very different experience. It's a highlight reel more than a grounded character study of these people trying to become footballers. So if you want that earnest mechanical look on how to play soccer, you learn the systems, you learn about clubs and recruiting and rivalries, yeah, watch Awashi. That's the show for you. But I think Blue Lock, while being less ambitious, is a little bit better at hitting the mark. Yes, it is anime as heck with its like premise and angsty edginess. Yes, it is anime as heck with all these like over the top expository like conversations that they talk about while they're playing the sport. But it's entertaining, it's well paced, it's sharply visualized, and it's actually surprisingly solid in its portrayal of soccer and how they're doing these moves, if a little bit elaborate. And I think the show really lends itself very well to a binge. It's always bringing something new to the table. It's mixing up the formula. Sure, it slows down a bit in the second half. Sure, it takes some production hits, mainly with some weird CG. But it's fun enough as a power fantasy shonen sports experience. And I think I would recommend it to most people. I think it'll scratch that itch whether you are on the fence about soccer or you love it. Just, it is what it is. It's dumb fun. And I enjoyed it for the most part. So, with that said, we're going to play a spoiler drop, and then we're going to spoil the crap out of the show while we talk about it. Stay tuned if you want. Now let's get into it.
Spoilers are coming. Oh my god!
I'm not really sure how you spoil this anime. I mean, there's almost no narrative at all.
I mean, the narrative is laid out. There will be progressive challenges of different kinds, and people will get eliminated. And it's just a question of, is our boy, our main character, going to get through? How is he going to get through? Are they going to win the game? Are they going to lose the game? How does that affect the standings? And it's just, everyone knows what's going to happen. It's just, how does that happen?
Is this the most shonen anime you've ever seen? I mean, the whole anime is
I mean, not ever, but...
Are you sure? I mean, the whole anime is one giant tournament, essentially. Like, it's the same as having a single elimination tournament where you lose a fight and you get eliminated. I mean, except they're just playing soccer. I mean, the entire thing.
Sure. I guess I get that, but it had enough character building, because it wasn't like a one and done situation.
Yeah.
There was... So, me personally, I like the first half of the show a lot more than the second half.
Mm-hmm.
I think the production was a lot better. And essentially from episode 3 to episode 11, it was just full nonstop, full core 11v11 soccer. I kind of wish we saw some hologram goalies there instead of making some players play goalie, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Essentially, it foregoed this back and forth that the later half had with just these rapid fire matches, rapid fire character development and growth and learning the team. And there was enough curveballs with players like betraying the team. There being like different tricks and new like rules on who advances and who doesn't, so that every episode nothing was taken for granted. And yeah, it was a little formulaic, not so much in the plot, but just in the way that you kind of mentioned it. They're literally trying to define these power levels in soccer of obviously not just the ranking on their shoulders that tells them what they can eat and not eat, but oh, I'm making a chemical reaction and like the screen is showing like my skill times this skill divided by this criteria equal. Like they were trying to make it into literal formulas, and it was like, okay, I get it. Let's back off a little bit. But I thought the first half was solid. I was having a good time.
They're yeah, I mean, the first half of the anime is really like a round robin type of deal. Like it's almost like the World Cup,
Mm-hmm.
where every team plays every other team, and then the second round is they break off and they go into 3v3, and then if you win, you get to pick a player from the other team to be on your team. So then you have 4 people, and then if a player that only has 2 players loses, the winning team picks one of those 2 players, and the guy who's left by himself gets eliminated. So.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting idea. That's pretty much how it goes. This anime really to me is about picking your favorite guy and like rooting for them. Because
Yeah.
I mean, because who really gives like the concept of Blue Lock is stupid as fuck to begin with. I mean, you're really gonna take the 300 best talents in Japan and make it so that 299 of them can't play just so you have one single player. You're basically like. You're setting Japan back 30 years in soccer just by doing this concept. You have something to say?
No, like it knows that it's silly though. Like it doesn't
I
take itself
understand.
too seriously. And that's why the characters can get away with being so cartoonish and absurd, because you're introduced to 40, 50 characters and you
Yeah.
can't have so many complex stuff. You just, like you said, they all have their, not a superpower, because I feel like that's going too far into it being a fantasy. To me, the show felt a lot like some of the scenes from Hajime no Ippo, where, for example, take the Dempsey roll, the signature move of our main character, where he's weaving in and out, and you see like this transposed super image because he's moving so fast. And obviously, he's not moving that fast, but it's how anime chooses to represent it in a super hype way. And that's kind of what you get here, where this guy's just running so fast, the wind is whipping by his hair, where he's so good at doing a first touch with the ball, and he's doing all these crazy poses to make the ball land just how he wants. Yeah, it's a little overdone compared to normal real world soccer or football, but it's a stylized way to make it hype. And each character has their own personality and skill set, and that's how you see them all. You pick your favorite, and like Ned said, you kind of hope that they keep on surviving, and you cheer for them, and that's how you get into the show.
It's not really like what they're doing that is so over the top, because I mean the Dempsey roll, by the way, is a real technique that's been done
No,
before.
of course, but
But
you don't see him superimposed over in real life, you know?
I mean, I understand what you're saying. To me, this anime goes well beyond Hajime no Ippo. I mean, this is more like Yomushi Pedal, where Mito Tsuji, who by the way is in this anime apparently, like grows like grasshopper wings out of his back and is like metaphorically flying. To me, this anime isn't so extreme though because of like the soccer techniques. Because I mean, let's be honest, none of this shit would be doable in real life. But most of it just results in like them kicking the ball really hard into the goal.
Yeah.
It's mostly about like how the characters behave and how their personalities are, because you got characters in this anime that act like Neanderthal, like the guy who thinks he's the king, Bado or whatever. He's like, "Oh, I'm the king, and I'm never gonna pass the ball ever, and you're all a bunch of fucking donkeys, and you're gonna give me the ball every time, and I'm surprised that you even play soccer because you're so fucking worthless." And then he's like, and it's like, and then like he constantly has like flames and lightning coming out of his eyeballs, and shit like that. And then I'm kind of curious to hear who your favorite and least favorite characters are, because This anime will live or die by the characters, honestly, because to me the soccer isn't all that interesting. It's more about like rooting for a character. So who is the character that you're rooting for?
I mean, obviously the main guy Isagi isn't bad. I like him. I cheer for him. I like Bachira a lot. His kind of first companion and their kind of chemistry, not the chemical reaction the show talks about, but just how they bounce off one another. When they get past the first selection and all these teams combined, one of the rivals from another team joins Isagi's unit, Nagi, and I was expecting him to be just a weird, either stuck up or just obnoxiously lazy or just a very difficult person to gel with. And he just very much blended with the main cast super well. And he was just like, yeah, I'll be your friend. I'll work well. I communicate well. And he was just like exactly the kind of team member you want to have. And so I was pretty instantly endeared to him. And that's not surprising because I think the mangaka likes him too. Because there's actually a whole spin-off manga just about Nagi. So I think he kind of subsumed the main character. But I like most of them. I like Kunigami. I like most of the team that we start off with. By the end, you're like, all right, like you want all those guys to do well. And which is why at the end, when you realize some of them didn't make it, you're like, oh, all the guys we spent the first half with. Some of them, oh, so sad. My boys, they didn't make it. So what about you, Mitz?
I mean, I don't like most of the characters in this anime because they all seem so utterly ridiculous. They scream absolutely everything. I watched the dub. I don't know if you watched the sub, but
the dub probably does not lend itself well.
They scream everything the whole time. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean,
so
and
I don't disagree.
And the thoughts that Isagi has are like, I can't believe it. I'm seeing this. He's evolving right before my eyes. He's transposing into something that's beyond human. Oh, and his footwork technique is something of the gods. I can actually taste the fruit of the gods in the smell of the grass that kicks off of his feet. And oh my god, I've never seen such a goal like this, and my eyeballs are burning. Like that's exactly like how they act in this anime. The whole time.
Yeah,
crazy.
I don't disagree. I think the dub makes it worse. But I will say that while I agree that I don't like that aspect of it, that's how so much anime is, and I felt I felt a very similar way with Awashi. I felt like the characters were so loud and screaming, and our main character is like having to use multiple hands on both his fingers to count how many sides are in a triangle. It was just so irritating, and it's a lot of the same flaws we get with this show, but with this show, it knows it's silly and absurd and cartoonish, so it fits. I don't like it, but it makes sense, and it makes it all more believable that this is a alternate reality of weird soccer craziness, and you just accept it versus trying to be a very grounded thing where this guy has eagle eyes and can see this whole field and he's talking about every single move. Like, I don't know. I feel like it works within the context of the show that they're absurd characters.
So my favorite characters in the show are probably Nagi,
Okay.
and I don't know. Maybe Bachira.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't find Isagi all that good. I mean, he's
just a fine, bland main character.
He's just too intense. I don't know. It's just like it's almost like these characters are almost caricatures of characters. They're just like, it's almost a comedy anime with how over the top it is. The characters I don't like are, I don't like Chigiri. I think he's just like a pretty boy Kurama type who all he does is can run fast. I actually don't like Isagi much, to be honest. Not Usagi, but Isagi.
Well, that's why he's called a donkey.
Whoever the
Usagi is donkey.
Usagi means rabbit. Does it mean donkey also?
I think yeah.
I gotta look that up.
I thought that was one of the ways of saying it. That's not like
Usagi
how refers to him.
Usagi Uma, which makes sense because that's literally like rabbit horse, which is weird,
Yeah.
like a small horse. Anyway, it makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like sometimes I feel like the intensity and the over the topness of this. So the anime is fine. Okay, I don't think it's bad. It's easy to watch. It's fairly entertaining. I mean, it is basically a tournament anime where people are just watching it to see who the winner is at the end.
Yeah,
That's
there's
the only
there's
thing.
no depth to the show.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
there's no fucking story whatsoever. But I do think that at times the insanity of like the dialogue that's going. First of all, characters in this anime will. I know this is shonen, but like there's a scene where one of the characters, I think it was Bachida, was running forward for like 90 seconds with the ball. And I'm like, bro, you would have run through like 15 soccer fields by now of worth of distance. And while you have an entire conversation with like the universe. But like there are times in this anime where the intensity and the over-the-top nature of the characters in it undermine what is happening. It just becomes more about like watching some characters' eyeballs like have green fire coming out of them, and doing footwork at the speed of light so that you can't even see their legs, or some nonsense. That like it almost takes away from what is going on. And the anime actually seems like at times it becomes more about what they're saying and what the characters look like, as opposed to like actually what is happening, because they put so much emphasis on the over-the-top nature of the characters themselves. And that's okay. Like they're gonna stick with their guns, clearly. But I just don't think
It's just
that's
not
gonna
the
be. That's
style.
not gonna be for everybody.
Yeah, no, for sure. I get that. And I think part of what I liked about the first half was the episodes were so quick because every episode was a new match. It was in and out. It distilled an entire game, 90 plus minutes, into the most interesting moments that built characters, told you who won, and made you hyped to watch soccer. Whereas at the end, we had these 3v3, 4v4 matches that were more meticulously put together and really got into, okay, I'm going to see this guy cut away. And because I see that, I'm going to cut this way and do this spin move. But I anticipate this guy going around, and gets into, it almost felt like a Hunter x Hunter episode where they break down every single moment of the play, which I get you can afford because it's the smaller field with the fewer player count. But it made everything drag and feel so over dramatic as you get every backstory and every person's mindset on each goal. It was just like, that's, it just felt like it crawled so much at the end. And that's where you get all these backstories and inner monologues that felt overdone and so campy.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like I said, the anime is fine, but at times it's kind of weird that an anime with so much action would have, in my opinion, pacing problems. And maybe it's not pacing; it's more like tone. Because to your point, the last half of the anime is my least favorite half, I would say, of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And it's mostly just characters just playing 3v3 soccer and acting utterly, totally fucking insane the entire time. And it just goes a little long, and I feel like the anime would have been maybe better served if they made this sort of rounds the rounds of elimination a little more brief compared to what they were, because there's only so many times you can watch a character evolve and transcend what they were like 5 minutes ago until you're just like, okay, here we go again. Like he's gonna predict the future like 90 seconds in advance. Like there's some character in this anime that can like basically predict the future, and like and there's some character that's like the puppet master, and he's controlling every character on the field at once. And I'm like, it's fine, but like at a certain point, I think more variability in the quote unquote of like in Squid Game, the TV show, which I don't know if you watched or not, but they'll have an elimination event, but it comes and goes in the span of one episode, and then the next episode is something different. This anime, they're gonna play 3v3 soccer for 10 episodes, and the entire time it's just the same thing happening. It's just different characters are screaming and having different powers, and that's fine. It's just I think that it might have been a little better if it had been maybe, rather than having 2 different elimination rounds in the first 24 episodes, maybe if it had been 4, that might have made it a little bit quicker and a little bit sharper. What do you think?
I think on one hand, I did like the way that they were constantly bouncing off and gaining each other's powers, and really every match forced them to evolve. Yes, it was predictable, but the way that they evolved by using someone else's power always made sense logically. I think the show is very well written. The way that the ego guy like explains what talent and luck is, well, maybe not agreeable all the time, has some smart to it. I think thought was put into how this person's skill set makes this person's skill set better and how they play off one another. And I think that is something not to look over. I do wish there was more different types of elimination events, more rapid fire. I think then you would be arguing, oh,
Yeah.
they're to do that then you have to play things other than soccer. And then you would say, oh, why are they using this method for eliminating people? Why are you using this method? So I think their hands are kind of tied, and I think they did as good as they could have. But I agree. I wish I would have seen more different types of elimination. And really quick, you did mention sometimes it felt more like a comedy. And I really agree with that because a lot of these episodes end post credits with a little like additional time,
Yeah.
20-40 second sketch thing. And I think actually the comedy in those moments where they took these characters that were so bombastic and silly playing soccer and just did it like a slice of life little thing was actually solidly funny and probably better than a lot of anime comedies nowadays. Like I think, like you said, they lend itself to the very over the top dramatic portrayals. So I think the show is working with a lot of strengths, just fell short in a lot of ways that is very personal. The way you'd rather see a more realistic portrayal of soccer, a less absurd character arc and way of describing things. I think the way it could have been sanded around the edges to be a bit better, but it's all personal preference.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
I
I
don't know.
agree.
I think it's good. I think it looks good. It's very like Danganronpa, Studio Lurche inspired with like lava lamps with all the effects going on behind them.
Mm-hmm.
Very unnecessary, but it looks cool. It looks fine. Definitely early on though, they started implementing some shoddy CG with characters like sliding around the place, and it only got worse as it went on. But I think it was good enough. I mean, the hologram goalies looked awful, but
Yeah.
whatever.
How did you feel about the animation? I feel like it wasn't that good, honestly. I'm trying to recall, but I feel like there was a lot of while they're playing soccer, it's a lot of like face shots and talking, even though they're playing soccer and you would prefer to see them like kicking the ball around. It's a lot of like Isagi's like eyeballs like having green fire coming out of them and not a lot of like kicking the ball around. I don't know, but
It looks good because they nailed the still frames and the effects. The shots where you're like, oh, boom, he hit the thing. Every moment, like Nagi would jump up in the air and do a weird, like contortion to do a cool touch. You're like,
yeah.
dang, that looked cool. But the actual animation was pretty sloppy and weak. And 8-Bit isn't, a huge studio. They haven't put out a ton of stuff. 24 episodes is a drain. And so it's kind of what I was expecting. I would say it looks good, but it doesn't move good. And it kind of uses a lot of bells and whistles to try to disguise that. There's definitely some weird shots. There's like one scene near the end where a play happened and no one like really understood why. Misaki's like, "Oh, let me tell you how it happened," and does like a weird camera turn and like everything kind of melts. It looks like a PowerPoint transition, like in the Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
It looks awful. So it did the job. It communicated what happened, but it wasn't like a masterpiece of animation or anything.
How do you feel about Namba Muta being in this anime? Did you see that picture I posted?
No.
You gotta look that. You gotta go find that picture.
Where was that at?
It's in the anime channel.
Okay.
Um,
While I look for it, I want to bring up
it's not that far up. It really isn't.
how cool it was that so many scenes and moments from this show. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I see it.
It's literally exactly. He looks exactly the same. It's
Just a
fucking
little
hilarious.
better facial hair.
He just
and,
he just
some-
has a mustache in that
Yeah.
and yeah.
The way that this show Blue Lock mirrored in so many moments as it was coming out, moments of the World Cup. The way Japan in the 2022 World Cup showing hit not only a lot of the same shots and moments, but just helped that invigorate the show and the show back to the World Cup in this like feedback loop just got people hyped for the show and the tournament, and it was cool and oddly prophetic in some ways. So I mean, I walking away from Blue Lock mostly positive, enjoying it. Yeah, it had a lot of things that I didn't like very much based on the typical faults of the shonen genre. I mean, Name one shonen show where they're charging up an attack and don't talk forever about the thing before
Yeah,
it happens.
and they have to now I'm gonna use this attack, and it's
exactly.
Inuyasha's the worst at that. He literally will talk about everything he does.
I'm no footballer, I'm no expert, but I have played a fair bit, and I can appreciate the grounded realism that this show exists on and the fantastical leap it took in some of the portrayals. And I get that it's not soccer 101. You're not going to watch the show and be like, yep, I know how to play soccer now. I can go out and apply this in the same way that Awashi could, where you learn the mechanisms of the sport and how to apply it. But I think it did what it needed to do to make it a fun watch. And we talked about earlier, we've been grinding away this week at work.
Mm-hmm.
If this show was anything less than an easy binge,
Yeah, holy shit.
this would have been a nightmare.
It would have been impossible.
And for the first 16 or so episodes of the thing, this was, just another episode. Boom, 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 knock it out. And I think there's something to be said for the way it can wrap you up with pretty solid pacing and stuff. So I'm ready to score it.
One last thing is, what else is funny is that like only 22 episodes are dubbed right now out of the 24. But in the last episode they play this best 5 players in the world team or something.
Yeah.
And they all speak English. I'm like, it's dubbed. Even though it's not dubbed, it is. Let's go. Yeah, let's go. This is soccer or whatever. It's just like fucking hilarious.
Listen, it's better than the do it yourself.
It's pretty fucking funny. So, Mason, go ahead. You can score it.
Yeah, I think it was a good show that knew what it was and hit the mark. Is it a masterpiece of character depth and writing? No, of course not. But you're not coming to this show for it. I think it's just another side of the coin for people who want to watch an anime about soccer, and I think it's a decent one. I would give it 3 BL rankings out of 5. A lot of BL in the show.
For me, I think I wanted a little more variability in this anime. I mean, it's good, but not great. Okay, it doesn't cater to what soccer is really about. Soccer is not all about being a ball hog or a striker or reproducing what you did 5 minutes ago or all this. Like, just like any team sport, it's about real soccer is about being a team and developing synergies and things like that. And I get that that's not really important. I would have liked
what the show turns into. Baro is all about, it's about myself, my skill set. I have but you're forced, even if you're only thinking about yourself and all you can do. That's true, because that's all you can ever do. But it turns into a team sport, even when everyone's thinking about themselves. That's the beauty of it.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like the whole fact that the only thing they care about is the striker position is kind of like, whatever. Anyway, I would have liked to have
mind game.
I wanted more variability in the events. Like, I don't think the events were very interesting. Like, in the Squid Game TV show where they're eliminating people in much the same way, they're like doing all sorts of different types of crazy shit. In this anime, it's just basically it's 11 versus 11. Oh, now it's 3 versus 3. And it's just like, it's just not any different. Like, there's really no difference between 11 and 11 and 3 versus 3 because ultimately they just focus on the same 2 or 3 characters anyway. And so it's the exact same thing happening no matter how many players there are. And so it's just a little monotonous. And I think that it would have been more interesting. Like when I was in high school, we played soccer golf, for example, where you're trying to get the soccer ball to a spot like 300 yards away, and the coach really just didn't want to teach that. Just didn't really want to be a coach that day. So he's just like, we're gonna play some bullshit game that doesn't help you at all. But at least you're playing a game that is fun, which is I'm gonna kick the ball as hard as I can and try to get as far as I can, and I hope I don't hit a tree or kick it into a bush or whatever. Like, but the variability would have been nice. I don't know what's coming in Blue Lock necessarily. If we have to watch the next season, it's not going to be the end of the world. I won't kick and scream about it, of course. I think I needed a little more variation in what was happening and a little better pacing. I'm also gonna give it 3. That's a hat trick out of 5.
Yeah, it is. I think if it wasn't for the slowdown in the last bit, could have gotten a little better score. But I'm happy with the 3. I think it's an exhilarating show. It's fun. It's hype. and you finish it, and you're like, okay, that was cool. And I don't think it's gonna have like much staying power how it currently is.
I do like that Kunigami got eliminated. Like a lot of the characters somehow The other thing I already scored it, of course. The other thing I don't like is that out of 300 characters, when everybody in the original team was supposed to be the worst in the entire facility because they were literally Team Z out of the alphabet, somehow, like 8 members of Team Z make it into the top 35, and I'm like, come on, like give me a fucking break. Like it's a good thing Kunigami didn't seem to make it because everybody else did. And I
don't
get
know about that many, but
I mean, there's probably at least 4 or 5 of them made it, like all the ones that were relevant, and I'm just like, come on, like ostensibly somebody in this facility was 300 places better than Isagi, who I think was like 300 when he entered.
Well,
and
to be fair,
where are those fucking guys?
That was part of the trick. The point wasn't, so there were 5 teams of 11 in their round robin thing. So there were, 55 people, but the Ego told all 55 units of the 55 or 5 that they were the worst of the worst. So everyone thought they were the bottom 55 players in the facility when that wasn't the case. Like everyone, there were 5 Team Z's and 5 Team W's and 5 Team Y's. So
yeah, but what I'm saying is, okay, well, it just seems unlikely that like so many of the people that you were with at the beginning are going to be, a group of players that made up 3% of the total field end up being like 12% after 2 rounds. It's just very unlikely.
I get you. There's a numbers game. You love bringing up the numbers, and I get that. But also, it makes you feel connected to them. And if everyone got wiped out, you'd be like, fuck, now I got to learn 34 new character names instead of being like, oh, I recognize that face. Like it bonded you with Isagi. I get
it, but they were doing that all along. Like they kept funneling new characters in all along.
Yeah.
By the way, Ego would be pronounced Ego, which makes me very hungry.
Lego my ego.
Well, and with Egos are trash though. It's just like garbage food. I ate so many Egos when I was a kid. I used to make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches out of them. I don't know if you ever did anything like that, but
yeah, I would just do peanut butter though.
Peanut butter, yeah, man, I love peanut butter. Oh my god, peanut butter is so good. All right, get us out of here.
This was episode 671 of the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you in advance for going to our website, AAA Podcast, submitting those mailbags, submitting those confessionals, submitting, doing the after parties, doing the hentai stuff, joining us on Discord, subscribing, the Amazon, all the stuff, all of it. It's there for you if you want it. But we had a great time talking about this today. What are we doing next week? I forgot. I didn't prep.
Something manly.
Something manly indeed. I think we're doing
Caroline's,
kind of the Great Snow Sea because Caroline didn't want to watch it. So
she's not going to
be talking that.
Caroline's never going to come back from wherever she's going. Like she's just going to
like,
I love Europe.
In the catacombs forever.
Yep. We're going to see her in what lies beneath the sequel. Yeah. Part 2.
And we will see you guys next week for another episode. Stay frosty. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye, guys.